Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. Today's video is kind of one that I do this every week. And I was thinking of things to film, and I was planning out my videos and I was doing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, it'd be nice to film just a little bit more of what I do generally. Like, not necessarily vlogs, although I'm wondering about it. I don't know, it's like, if they do well, I have to make more of them, but it's something that I actually have to seriously consider, how much of my life do I want to put on the internet? Getting myself set up for the week was something that I really started doing in lockdown, and actually I have quite a few habits that I developed in lockdown that actually have really stuck as we life is quite normal now in lots of ways. Structuring our time, especially now a lot more of us are working from home. This is something that I have always done. I've always been self-employed, and for me it is all about planning and the best intentions, knowing full well that they may well go out the window. My work can come up incredibly last minute, so I could plan out a week and then it all completely go to pot and I fly off to Ireland or something for the week. What that meant was that I wasn't planning, because I was like, well, what's the point in planning, because it'll probably just change anyway. But then that meant that I never planned, which then meant that I had so many weeks of just kind of dead time, and not necessarily wasted time, because I'm not sure I believe in that, but at the same time, it could have been used better. So that's why I started planning, and then you plan, and then if it doesn't happen, it's okay, it means I'm away working, which is always fabulous. I have my delicious coffee, which I did put chocolate and vanilla sugar sprinkles on top of, and let's get cracking. So the way that I plan out my week is in a paper diary. This one that I'm using at the moment, I basically every year just go into HomeSense and see what they have and just pick out my favourite of the bunch. But this one is by A Journal, Rotterdam, the Netherlands, and I have to say this is actually one of my favourites that I've ever had. I like the size of it because it goes in, most of my bags that aren't dinky handbags, and I just really like the layout of it, because you can see the whole week. Can you still hear me? Can you still see me? You can see the whole week, and then you've got just, to-dos to call, people to call, notes, and then like a little memorable moment. Now, I do also have my phone calendar. My husband and I have a shared one just because it makes life so much easier. But I really like having it written down, because I just find it goes in my head better. And I am the kind of person where if it's written down in here, it will happen. Unless, obviously, like I say, I'm not here or whatever, but that's by the by. If I write in here that I will, go to the gym at this time, I will go to the gym at that time. I don't entirely know why my brain works this way, because some things I'm really organised with, and some things I'm just not. And but when I really schedule something in, it's happening. Like, it just makes it non-negotiable for me. So try it. You may find you are the same, particularly if you are somebody that struggles just to motivate yourself of a morning when you're like, sleep, gym, sleep, gym, So, slight shift in perspective. Hi, how are you? Also, please forgive the crazy lighting. We are working with the sun, but I kind of like it. So what I will do is at the very start of the week, I will just plan out the things that I know are happening, and then basically plan the other stuff around it. So this week is half term, so I don't have any of my private music students, so that makes things slightly easier. So I still have my sort of job that I started during lockdown of working for the church, and I know that is going to be at 9:30. By the way, the pens I always use are the Unipen Fine Line, and I use them in the 0.05. That's my favorite thickness, and I will just write that in for every day and then go from there. next thing that I make sure I plan out is just when am I going to get outside? When am I going to get some fresh air? Primarily it's walking this one, but yeah, just planning it in and making sure that it's like a non-negotiable part of my week. If it's in my diary, it'll get done. So generally speaking, my exercise is walking and then going to the gym. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to film in the gym, so we'll see if I've got any clips of that. But yeah, it's just having it in my diary, making it like an appointment means that I don't miss it, basically, because I don't know what it is, but I've definitely found this thing, and like I've said it already, but if it's in the diary, then it'll happen, and that just makes, I don't know, it just makes it so much simpler. I get decision fatigue, it's really difficult to say, really easily, and I think the more I can prevent that, the better. So yeah, so this is our structured, it's not really structured, we just go for a wander, but we tend to go, like, I'll either walk her in the morning or in the early afternoon, depending on whose turn it is to get up early. And yeah, she says hi. She's on her lead at the moment because she's in season and we don't want any So the next thing I'm going to put in is my practice, because I do have lots of orchestral auditions coming up, so pray for me. So on alternate days, I'll either walk the dog in the morning or I'll walk her later after lunch. So I'll either start my practice then, or I will walk the dog. So on the days when I'm walking the dog, I'm going to put my practice in a little bit later. Okay, so I wanted to give you a slightly better view just in case you couldn't see it at all when I was holding it up to camera, which is quite potentially the case. This is kind of what my week is looking like. It's half term, like I say, so my week looks a little bit freer, which is nice. I mean, it's a little bit freer than I would have liked. If you I had a bit of a rant on my Instagram about that. I was meant to be doing some work, but it fell through in a slightly frustrating fashion, but there we go. We live, we move on. And this is how I put my practice in. I will write it in every day at the time where, you know, it looks like I'm most likely to be free, and this just makes it a non-negotiable for me. I find this so helpful because it gives my brain structure, which I so desperately need, even if I'm not very good at it. So this forces me to be good at it, basically. Sorry, I thought I'd flip you around and actually talk to you like a human being. I'm also desperately trying to avoid, oh no, it's kind of moved. I'm trying to avoid this situation where I'm just completely in the sun. I don't like to put a scheduled amount of practice time. I find it kind of puts too much pressure on it, because some days you'll pick up your instrument and you'll want to do like 4 or 5 hours and you're like, yeah, I'm like feeling it today, I'm going to smash it out, it's going to be great. And then you'll have other days where you'll do half an hour and you're done. And you know, maybe half an hour was you really pushing through and wanting to do, you know, more than 5 minutes. So I don't like to put an end time on it, just because I find I actually do more practice that way. I find that I kind of get into the groove of it, and if I don't have a set end time, then that's amazing. Like I say, normally I would have teaching in the afternoons, like late afternoon, early evening. So that kind of quite naturally puts an end point on when I can practice. I'm really sorry, this lighting is driving me mad. There we go, that's better. That will hopefully be a little bit more consistent. And you can now see all the mess that I had shoved out shot earlier. But yeah, so obviously normally that gives me quite a good natural end time to my practice, but just scheduling it in just makes it a non-negotiable for me. Like, if it's in the diary, then it's happening. Whereas if I don't plan it into my diary, then there is every chance that I will find an excuse and not do it. So yeah, just give it a go, whether that's in a paper form like I'm doing, or if it's in your phone, it doesn't matter. Just get it in there and you will, honestly, it will make the world of difference into, because it just kind of bypasses the you having to be motivated. It just means that, you know, you're like, it's in the diary, it's an appointment, you have to do it. Whereas if you just kind of go, oh, I'll practice on, you know, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, whatever, and then it comes to Monday and you're like, nah, then you're very unlikely to do it if you're anything like me. Whereas if it's written in your diary, you're like, well, I kind of have to. So I just find that, just honestly, it's one of my biggest how to actually practice hacks, is to just schedule it in your diary, get it in there, treat it like an appointment, make it a non-negotiable. So the next habit that completely changed the game for me, it's not really, I don't know if this is exactly a habit, but it was a kind of a change in mindset. So I started actually setting goals for myself. Now, forgive me, I'm actually not gonna share them publicly just because some of them are very, very personal, and I kind of like to keep my goals as this like little secret, because I feel like then they're mine to own. I think as soon as you speak them out, sometimes that can kind of give you resolve and that can make them more true. But for me, I'm very, I don't know, it's just how I like to do them. But I never used to set myself goals, and now I would not consider myself a person who is scared of failure necessarily. What I am absolutely is scared of doing a bad job. Basically, if I find myself in a situation where I feel so out of my depth that I don't think I'm going to be able to do a good job, I find that hugely anxiety inducing and just really awful. I feel like I'm going to let people down. I feel like I'm going to let myself down. I feel like I'm going to make a really bad impression, you know, all of that, because, you know, I pride myself in being quite a with it capable human, I suppose. And when I feel like that is slipping, or that people think I'm not that way, I can get hugely upset about that. And so I never really used to set myself goals, because if I didn't achieve them, it would result in that feeling like I'd let myself down, that I'd let other people down, that I was just silly for doing it in the first place or whatever. So I just never used to do it. And this year was the year that that really changed for me. And honestly, I wish I could tell you that there was a secret pill. I think I heard a lot of people talking about manifesting and doing it and the mindset behind that. I do believe that as soon as you say to yourself, like, I will do this thing, your mindset shifts. So for example, I have set myself a career goal this year, and like I say, it's not even a goal necessarily. I don't really want to call it that. It's an intention. Like, this year I intend to do X, and as soon as I decided that within myself, my whole approach to my job, so I'm talking about a playing job, so my whole approach to that playing work and the practice required for it and everything totally changed, because I was like, I am practicing because this thing will happen. So therefore, when it happens, I need to be ready for it. And as soon as I shifted to that mindset, rather than the mindset of, oh, well, if I practice really hard, then it might happen, I was like, no, it will happen. So therefore, you need to be ready. And that for me was one of the most powerful things I've ever done for my career and my playing. Like, I really mean that. I know that sounds dramatic, but it 100% is, because the second I did that, everything shifted. And things have already started happening in pursuit of that intention. So set yourself intentions, set yourself, you know, this year I will do this. So therefore, because I'm going to be doing that, what do I need to do to prepare for it, or in preparation for it, or, you know, whatever, in the build up, whatever you want to call it. As soon as you do that, your whole mindset shifts, and your whole, you know, life kind of starts shifting towards that being an absolute rather than a, well, it might happen, but then again, it might not, so I better have a contingency. Like, it's not a negotiable anymore for me. Like, that thing will happen. And I cannot express to you how excited I am, because I'm like, this is something that I have dreamed of and just longed for in my absolute soul for so long that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's good. Like, and I know that sounds, there will be a lot of people watching this rolling their eyes and going, that just sounds stupid, and that's fine. If that's the way you feel, then that's absolutely fine. But for me, this is something that has made just a ridiculous difference. Again, if you told me 6 months ago that I would have decided on this thing and it would be making this much of a difference, I would not have believed you. So ramble over, I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna do another video just about this at some point when I have my thoughts in a more coherent order. But set yourself intentions. Tell yourself what you will be doing, whether it be that day, that week, that month, that year. Tell yourself what you will be doing, not what you would like to be doing, and just see how, I don't know what this is. This is things shifting and changing. So the next thing I started doing, which made one of the biggest differences, I'm going to have said that for every single one of these, but that's because that's why I'm talking about them, was to start keeping better financial records, basically. If you are self-employed, you need to do this, okay? You need to be able to show, you know, what you earn and where you earned it and when and who it was from and all of that really, really fun stuff. And spreadsheets is not my area of expertise, but it is my husband's, and he loves a spreadsheet. And so he has created just the best thing ever. It's a really simple spreadsheet, and it just goes through, you know, it's just really easy for me to fill out. So basically I fill this out every month, and then when it comes to doing my tax return, it's easy, like genuinely easy, because all the information is in one place. Okay, so this is what my finance spreadsheet sort of looks like. Can you tell I love a color code? So here on the left, we have income. Now, my playing work just goes in this box, my teaching goes in this box, and then anything else goes in this box. And then we've got things like food expenses. So this is the money that I spend on food when out at work. So obviously my food shop and things do not go in this. It's just about, you know, when I had to buy food in between rehearsals and whatever. Other household expenditure, this is fairly minimal. Now, I don't, at the moment, claim back any expenses for my house, because although I do kind of work from home, the actual work that I'm being directly paid for does not take place in my house. So therefore, I don't really use this at the moment. I did use it, however, when I was teaching from home. So if you teach from home, have a little bit of a look into it. You can sort of claim back some tax on it and bits and bobs, but I can't remember exactly what the rules are on that. So look it up. It's fairly easy to find. Health and beauty, pretty self-explanatory. If you perform, then you can claim back on things like makeup, which is pretty dreamy. Leisure and clothing, I put my gym membership in there because got to stay fit and healthy in order to play, and also obviously any concert clothes that I buy. Travel, this is normally the biggest box of the entire thing. Other than maybe income, we'll give myself that. But yeah, so I put in how many miles I tend to put below, and then the amount put over here. Then it'll calculate it all for me. Again, self-explanatory. Anything to do with the car, because I use it a lot for work. Work expenses, I've got my diary service, any new strings, rehairing, music, that kind of thing. Anything that directly goes towards my job, that goes in there. And then obviously big one-offs, miscellaneous. So when I bought a new instrument case, for example, that went in here. And then this is the area that I come to look at once I'm actually filling out my tax return. So it's just all in one place. So I update these boxes with what's come before and basically add this month onto the months prior. And then it's all in one place, because when you do your tax return, these are the questions. So it just means that I can literally go straight here, get that number, put it in, jobs are good. And I don't have to do any working out when it comes to doing my tax, which just means that it is a job that takes me, you know, max of a morning rather than days. And there we have it. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that it's given you some ideas of how you can plan your week. It just means that, you know, I'm so much more set up for success this way. I'm so much more likely to get the things done that I want to get done, and just, you wake up on Monday morning ready for the week, and I find this makes me so much more excited for the week, because I'm like, cool, okay, I know what's coming, I know what to expect, I know what I'm doing. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. So the next thing that I started doing was breaking my laptop. That's what I started doing.